Takes when Meet the Best presents Mr. Oggi Ogburn. He's a nationally renowned photographer to the stars. We'll find out what it's like to photograph the famous and fabulous as seen through Mr. Ogburn's creative eye.
And as everyone knows,
Welcome back. We're here with my co-host Jesse Jackson Jr. and the Teen Summit Posse. Let's give them a hand. Photographer who works with many, many well-known celebrities. His name is Oggi Ogburn, and we're pleased to have him on the show. Please give him a Teen Summit welcome. Thanks for being here. How old were you when you realized that you had this talent of taking pictures?
How old?
How old were you?
I was a late bloomer, believe it or not. I was around 30 years old when I first started taking pictures.
Really?
As a living. So you can change careers in life. And it was something that I really fell in love with, so I really wish I had got into it earlier. But you have to be dedicated and love what you're doing.
Now, how does one make a name for himself in this business?
Well, I would assume to make a name for yourself in any other kind of business, you have to just give good quality work. You have to do the best you can and don't let anything that's not good leave your studio or your lab.
Okay, at what lengths have you gone to get pictures that you have?
Well, I started hanging around radio stations for a long time because I knew that's where the artists would be coming because they want to get their records played. That's one of the first places. You can hang out at, I used to go to a lot of clubs because artists also go to clubs at night to introduce themselves to the audience. And record stores, you get to know people in the record stores because they sell the records and artists want to get to know them too.
Right.
So with just those three, it gives you a good input into that type of industry on that level.
Okay, Nicole, you had a question?
Sure. I want to know what it was like working with all these big stars like Janet Jackson and Whitney Houston, Kumo D.
Well,
how did you get started into that too?
Well, primarily, you know, being at a radio station was where I first got started. And when you begin to meet these type of people, you begin to realize, well, you know, they're human too, you know, that they wear the same clothes, eat the same kind of food, and that they're not, so for some reason, we put them on a great big pedestal, you know, and look up to them, but they really are down to earth, and, you know, they're just normal people.
I'd like to ask you, like, with your camera, do you think sometimes you're able to get different sides of the stars that other people don't get a chance to see?
Well, I think that is the advantage of the kind of work that I do. Primarily, I go out with them on their promotions, where sometimes I catch them in the back of the limousine sleeping and, you know, just being bored, waiting around, doing other things, and that's when I try to catch them.
Have you ever had any negative experiences, like some of the photographers? Well, tell us about one of the negative experiences.
One of my negative experiences.
Have you ever tried to photograph Sean Penn?
No, nothing like that. Well, one time when Cher was in town with a show at the Kennedy Center, she asked me would I come and shoot the whole troupe that was with her for a Christmas card. And when I had everybody lined up in front of the hotel and stuff, and my flash never went off. And that never happened before. So I was saying, wow, why would it have to happen now with Cher and the whole troupe out here? So somebody in the troupe, because it was some little amateurs with their little thing, said, there's your flash over there. So I was really embarrassed. So, you know,
So what happened? What did she do?
Well, fortunately, when I first started taking pictures, I really didn't have that much money. So I knew how to take pictures without a flash, which is another technique which you call pushing the film. And basically what that is underexposing it and overdeveloping it. And that can compensate for it sometimes.
So the picture came out okay?
It came out great.
Lucky for you. Jesse.
Yes, my name is Alvin Brown. I'm 15 years old and I attend Parkdale High School. And my question is, like, have you ever worked for any major magazine companies when you publish your pictures?
Right. One of the first magazines that I worked for was Encore magazine, which was it was equivalent to Times and Newsweek, and what I had to do for them was cover the Watergate trial, which was the impeachment of former President Richard Nixon, which was exciting and crazy, really.
Another question.
Sylvia Nansen, I'm 14 years old. I want to know, who do you enjoy taking pictures with the most?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I love the ladies. Just recently, last Monday, I was working with Jasmine Guy. And that was really a great experience. And
she was here at BET.
Right. And just since you were talking about the Light and Black issue, she was in the movie. She was in the movie School Days, and she really didn't like her part as far as calling everybody jigaboos, whatever. You know, thought I'd bring that out.
Go ahead, question.
Yes, my name is Takia Williams, and I attend Parkdale High School. If I was interested in going into your field, what would make me successful as you are to prepare myself?
Well, primarily, I would tell anybody that wants to go into any field, one of the things that they have to do is really try to do good in school. A lot has to do, when you get into this field, has to do with business. You have to know how to read, you have to write, And even in being a good photographer, you still have to understand your contracts and know what you're doing.
Okay, we thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Good luck with your photos in the future.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Teen Summer will be right back.
And decades. An award
Production presents Backstage Pass.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Backstage Pass. I'm Cody Jones, and I'm your host this evening, and I'm coming to you live from a very special art gallery located at the Blackburn Center at Howard University. And we're getting ready to take a very special tour with the photographer, Mr. Oggi Ogburn. How are you doing, Oggi?
I'm doing very fine. Thank you. I welcome you here. Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm ready to take the tour. Are you ready to show me?
Well, let's go check it out.
All right, folks at home, come on. Let's go. Now, the first thing I want to ask you, you have some beautiful pictures in here. When did you start to get into photography?
I was actually in graduate school at the time, and I had just left New York, and I was sort of homesick. I had a baby daughter, and I sort of got into taking pictures really to sort of document her and have her with me, even though she was in New York and I was here. But one of my neighbors in my apartment building, who eventually was the first music director at Howard University's radio station, WHUR, came to me one day and asked me would I bring my camera over to the station. Now, I had an amateur camera, really nothing much, but Roberta Flack was going to be here. And I turned him down because I didn't want that pressure. But they also had, I think a week later, Roberta Flack Day in Washington, and he asked me that this was going to be the first time that the radio station was going to have a remote, and would I bring my camera? And I got up enough nerve and said, yes, I'll do it. And that's how it all really started. It started at a radio station, WHUR.
Wow, so from music on the radio to photography. Exciting. Yeah. Now, how many pictures do you have in the gallery right now?
I think we have like 61, and I could have, 3,000 really. It's just that when you've been shooting pictures for 30 years, you catch quite a collection. And I've been blessed primarily because, I'm shooting people who I admire, musicians and stuff. And being a freelance photographer, I could take the jobs that I want, and ones I didn't want, wouldn't take. So I really have been enjoying myself, really having a good time.
And you know what? I'm listening to you, and I've walked around the gallery with you. You really are enjoying what you're doing. And that's something that a lot of people don't get a joy out of. And there's a phrase that you use. It was...
employment of enjoyment. And the reason I really say that is because I have had jobs in my life where I hated to wake up. And I know there are probably many people today that really sort of like hate to wake up to go to a job that they really don't enjoy. But I couldn't wait to wake up, and wait for, a lot of times they say you're going to be working with Janet Jackson today, or you're going to be working with Whitney Houston today, or you're going to be working with Sade today, I couldn't wait to wake up. I probably didn't even want to go to sleep. Right. And I have to say I've been blessed in a way because, as you talk about the pictures, one of the groups that I shot was the Temptations. I used to party off the Temptations a lot. I used to even see them at the Apollo Theater in New York. I even seen them at the Howard Theater also in Washington. And it's really great when you could be around groups that you really enjoyed working with.
Now, this is the photograph you were telling me about with Minnie Riperton.
Right.
Now, tell me this story again about her.
Minnie Riperton was one of my favorite singers. She was a songbird. And as I say, I started at the radio station WHUR, which began to promote albums, because before that, everybody used to just use 45s. And Minnie Riperton was one of the stations, was one of the music people that the station broke out, which was an album. And this particular picture was taken at Crampton Auditorium, and it's really one of the first pictures that I've ever took. And I didn't own a flash at the time, so on this particular picture and the next picture we look at of Grover Washington, I had to push the film, which was underexposed and overdeveloped in the lab. Unfortunately, I had a dark room that I could do all of that. If I didn't, I might even have been successful as a photographer, because sometimes you can mess up a picture and you can really straighten it out in the dark room using different techniques.
Oh, this is wonderful. Yeah.
Songbird.
And you said you did the same thing over here at this next one.
This was also natural lighting. And I sort of like it. When you see natural lighting, you see how you have the shadow on one side. And this is Grover Washington, and that's when I was telling you about Grover. I didn't really know him that well then, but after a certain amount of years, we got to work together. That's when he said that if you write a good tune that becomes a hit, you better like it, because you have to play it 1,000,000 times. You know?
Right, right. These are fantastic pictures.
Oh, yeah, I love it. You know, I really loved him too. He was really a good brother. I really was really saddened when I heard that he had just, had passed away, you know.
Well, let's take another journey around the gallery, okay?
Take a look.
All right. Oh, this one here.
Yeah, this is my man Dizzy. Now, again, everybody's used to Dizzy playing his horn or whatever, but he was being interviewed at the radio station again, WHUR, and my thing is, that's why I call the show Backstage Pass, because I like to catch the artists in their natural state. Really, so much of promotion and marketing is done to make performers really happen today, that really, when you catch them in the natural state, to me, that's the real person.
Well, I've never seen Dizzy without his cheeks puffed up, so this is definitely his natural state. All right. Oh, Art Blakely.
Yeah.
Tell me this story.
Now, what I like about Art Blakely, the first dance that I ever went to as a teenager was Art Blakely was playing there, and I sort of fell in love with moaning. But this picture was taken at Fort DuPont Park, and it was like a free concert.
Here in D.C.
And here in D.C. And what's exciting about some of these pictures is that they were free concerts. Anybody could have came, and Art Blakely's one of the greatest drummers, rather. And what excited me about him was when I saw a jazz documentary on television. Now, I knew about him as a person, but I didn't know how many young people that he brought into the jazz world that played in his band. He really is a great man as far as being a jazz musician, for that reason.
Wonderful. And, of course, this is one of my favorites, Phyllis Hyman. And
one of my favorites, too.
She's gone, but her spirit is here.
Phyllis Hyman was one of the finest women I ever saw in my life. She was like 6'2", and this was on her first promotion, on her first record, because I think she was really discovered by Norman Connors, and she came out with a record with Michael Henderson. I forget what the tune is, but it was, But Phyllis Hyman, I'd worked with her several times since that time. Matter of fact, she performed at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner, and she came in like 2 weeks ahead of time just to get to meet the congressman. And one of Dellums, we had lunch with Dellums one day. But Phyllis was a big girl. She could eat. She could really put away some food.
But that's like Phyllis. I love her. Her spirit's there. Now this is a picture that we haven't seen in quite a while. I know who it is. For some of the kids at home,
Oh no, they won't.
this is Michael Jackson.
Right. This was taken in 1977 or 1976, again at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner. And when people come to my house, especially when they bring their kids, and I ask them who that is, they don't have a clue. They don't really have a clue. But you know what? Michael was really a nice guy. He's sort of like a different person on stage. He's like a killer, the dance and everything. Off stage, he's real quiet, real shy, doesn't really talk much. But Michael was cool. Matter of fact, he did when he was at the radio station, they brought their own photographer with them. And that's when I first started out, and I wasn't that aggressive. And so their photographer was taking a picture of the group, and I hadn't did anything. I didn't know what to do. And so when their photographer got through, Michael said, he hasn't taken a picture yet, So I said, oh, that's cool. He's a cool brother, And I took a picture of the group then,
Well, I always knew it was cool. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I had a crush on Michael. I had a crush on this Michael Jackson. Okay. Let's take another journey. There's a picture that's, here it is, that one of my favorites. And I've yet to go to Jamaica.
No.
But this is Bob Marley. Tell me about Bob.
Bob Marley was a very spiritual individual. And at the time, when Bob Marley came to D.C., most times he wasn't really accepted by our community. But in the later years, you know, his music was really for unity, and we sort of got into him very much. And particularly when I took this picture, though, anybody could have walked in off the street to meet him. Wow. You know, it was when he was promoting one of his albums called Survival. But Bob Marley was really a great man, and I think his message is just as strong today as it was then. And even though he's gone, his message is still here with us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And, you know, there's a picture over here. I'm going to walk over here because I think you snapped one of our artists at a time that we never really get to see them like this. Oh, this is Sade.
Yeah.
I mean, she's such an active person. This is great. Tell me about this picture.
And I got to, Sade was just come, you know, they're on a different time schedule coming in from London. And a lot of times, I could have an exhibit just on artists really sleeping in limousines. Whenever they get, like, you know, they're so busy doing promotions and stuff that this must have been a ride maybe from Baltimore to Washington. And that little bit of town, they just fall out. And these were her band members at the time. I got to be real close with him because a lot of times when she'd come to town, I'd just ask for Stewart and I'd get my little backstage pass and I'd hang out with them. Sade was really a good person, and I like her music too. She gets you into a groove, you know. And like I say, you know, she was beautiful, had a nice body, and oh man, and she's, well, I don't want to get into that, but every now and then she'd have a little drink with her, you know.
Smooth operator, yeah.
Yeah, the smooth operator.
Okay, now this right here, this is Cheryl Lynn.
Right.
And Cheryl Lynn she's a full-figured woman. She looks like she can get up with the best of them.
When this particular picture was taken, she was dancing her heart out. She was doing dips, you know, hitting the ground and bouncing back up, and she did that for like 15 minutes. So I just knew that this, you know, heavy-set woman, full-figured young lady was going to be kind of winded. So I really went up to her real quick to see if she was going to be breathing real hard, and she wasn't. That's when I realized that she's in good shape, you know, because, I mean, she was going down to the ground, and, you know, it even wears me out when I try stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, that was a great picture. Now, there's a picture over here that I wanted to talk to you about.